Hello, everyone. On behalf of StarMed, it is my pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar on liver radiofrequency ablation. We are delighted to have a huge participation, such a dedicated audience of physicians from across the globe joining us to explore the latest advancement in liver RFA technology and clinical practice. We are especially honored to have with us Professor Rim, highly respected thought leader in interventional oncology and one of the foremost experts in radiofrequency ablation. His groundbreaking work and clinical insight have shaped much of the field as we know today. And we are privileged to have him lead today's presentation and discussion. Professor Rim works in radiology department in the Samsung Medical Center, has more than 25 years experience in the liver RFA and performed together with his team more than 15,000 RFA procedures since 1999, and one of the first pioneer in liver RFA in South Korea. He's a professor of radiology at the Samsung Medical Center and also in Sungkyunkwan University. Is a deputy director of a liver cancer center in the Samsung Medical Center. Is also president of numbers of associations like KLCA, KSUM, XITA, and also chairman in ACTA and a co-founder of Asian Society of Tumor Ablation. He also ran his own educational and training center in Samsung Medical Center course called CITAT. We want to remind the duration of the webinar will be around 60 minutes. There will be the presentation of Professor Rim following by Q&A. We want also to remind the housekeeping rule of our webinar. So all of you will be on mute. And most important, questions can be submitted anytime during the webinar using the Q&A function. Just note that this webinar will be recorded. So thank you again for joining us. We hope you find today's session both informative and inspiring. So without further ado, let's begin. So Professor Rim, please start and enjoy presentation, everyone.
Thank you for your kind introduction, Giovanni. So good morning and good afternoon. It is very nice to meet you all. So I think the 30 minutes talk today will be helpful for your future ablation. I divided my talk two parts. First part is a general lecture, and the other part included 4 representative cases using the RF electrode. So I will share my slide.
Keep the light on, I'm coming home. I
think the StarMed must be a hot company. So they prepared this kind of webinar, this crazy hot summer season. Anyway, thank you. So I hope at the end of my talk, you can feel it is cool. Today, I'll talk about optimizing liver RFA, techniques, protocols, and practical insight based on my 25 years liver ablation. Ultrasound-guided ablation was developed since 1980s from PI microwave RF ablation. For 45 years, ablation is continuously evolved. So recently, ablation has been accepted one of the curative treatment options for early-stage HCC in most treatment guidelines. After learning radiofrequency ablation from United States, I had the opportunity to introduce radiofrequency ablation to Korea. For 25 years, ultrasound-guided liver ablation was the center of my practice. First RFA in Korea was performed in 1999, April. The next day, I performed the second case for recurrent cholangiocarcinoma. This is my first RFA case with, as well as first complication case, which I cannot forget. So I'm very happy to share some lessons from 25-year liver ablation and also my current ablation techniques to you. Take-home message: device is important, but techniques matter more. Stack tumor is important, and take your time for precise ablation. This is my keyword of my talk, SEC, just SEC. SEC means safe, exit, and conspicuous. Another keyword for my talk is TYT, means take your time for your ablation. Time has many solutions. Optimal is very difficult to define, but very important. We should be optimal rather than just insufficient or just excessive. The Chinese philosopher Sun Tzu, he tells us, know the enemy and know yourself, and you will win every battle. He emphasized the victory in any war comes not from just the brute strength alone and the strategic approach. Here is my 7 practical insights based on my experience. First, think the index tumor. Second, understand your weapon, update current guideline, careful selection and planning, and accurate and optimal ablation, and learn from post-ablation imaging. Actually, this is a really basic. So start from the root, fundamental. This is the key for success. First, think the index tumor. 3D tumor size is very important. Tumor location, of course, subcapsular, perivascular, perihilar. Tumor conspicuity, tumor depth, microvascular invasion, abortive structure, and remnant liver volume. Second, we should understand our weapon, energy, and device, mechanism of each energy, and ablation performance of each device. And third, update current treatment guidelines. Understand what most people do today. Start from the currently accepted standard, start from the curative approach. Careful selection is the very first door to a successful ablation. Are you sure of complete and safe ablation? Poor conspicuity to be overcome by fusion, CUS, or artificial fluid. And then do planning in advance to make the complete and safe ablation. Decide all the details, including patient position to ablation parameters. And take your time for your accurate and optimal ablation. This is a really critical key for successful ablation. Check any details for accurate and optimal ablation. Balance between complete and safe ablation is important. Always remember optimal is the right way. Finally, we have to study with the post-ablation CT. This is a really best teacher to improve our technique. Find any difference between your planning and the result. And moving the techniques and protocols. This is my recipe for liver ablation in this year. Please just taste it. The lesson from my 25 years liver ablation, I have to confess, I have been not so much accurate during ablation than I think. So multiple electrode has a clear benefit over the single electrode applicator. Any new device and novel energy source are certainly important, but more important things, how precisely and effectively we use the existing technology. This is my current strategy for liver ablation. Indication smaller than 3.5 centimeter, 1 or 2 tumors, ultrasound guidance. In most cases, I used fusion imaging, and about half, I use artificial ascites to improve Sony window as well as protect the dangerous organ. Ablation margin 5 to 10 millimeter is a universally accepted. This should be our goal. However, depending on the tumor characteristics, the ablation margin should be categorized for smaller tumor, for larger tumor, for invasive tumors. Overlapping ablation with a single electrode, I think this is a really foolish strategy that should be abandoned from now on. Because there are two reasons. First, after initial ablation, ultrasound feasibility becomes poor, making it difficult to repositioning of the electrode accurately. Second, when repositioning of the single electrode, this is a real overlapping ablation outside the liver. The single ablation is not good. My current ablation device is most my ablation, more than 90%, is performed with the octopus electrode. Mostly monopolar, up to 10 minutes, plus bipolar. For dangerous location, I preferred bipolar first and then monopolar. Mostly I use 2 electrodes. Regarding the electrode size, I prefer the 15 gauge rather than 17 gauge. I will explain the reason. Viva electrode is a very good adjustable single electrode, but recently I used it only for single, smaller than 1.5 centimeter in safe location and a good conspicuity. So we should understand your weapon precisely. Microwave, I am using it only for single, smaller than 2.5 centimeter, conspicuous tumor with exit. Regarding the electrode side, the 15 gauge is better outcomes, about 50% the larger volume provided, but and also the treatment outcome is better than 17 gauge group. This is our study. But regarding the complication, there was no significant difference between the both groups. So that means 15 gauge is relatively safe. What about the octopus electrode? Recently, I prefer this electrode because, as you can see, this is a really flexible electrode. Depending on the tumor condition, we can modify. And Viva multi-RF generator is also a very strong power generator and a very smart strategy, the dual switching mode. So we can make very effectively quite large volume compared to microwave. So this is a kind of concept, no touch ablation between the 2 electrodes, so dual switching, and then move to BC electrode, and finally CA electrode. So remember the SEC, conspicuous tumor with exit in safe location. This is a really key for select the easy tumor for ablation. Index tumor checklist for device selection. First, tumor size, tumor location, whether tumor has an exit of tumor or the conspicuous. First, tumor size and conspicuity and exit and safety. Very important and very basic. And also you have to check adjacent dangerous organ, vessel and colon and gallbladder like that. What is the exit of tumor? Whether there is any liver parenchyma more than 5 mm beyond the posterior margin of index tumor. Many subcapsular tumor is a non-exit tumor, which is difficult to make circumferential ablative margin with a single applicator, even strong microwave. This is a very important concept. If you see the almost all catalog of many companies, they don't tell tumor itself. We are responsible to take care of this tumor. If you cannot insert electrode beyond the posterior margin of the tumor, the ablation performance is limited posteriorly. This is the point. Ablation feasibility map, very complex, depending on the tumor location and relate to adjacent organ vessel. This is a feasibility map in our center. As you can see, the green color means SEC tumor. Conspicuous usually, definitely there is exit, and usually safe location. So I can divide the index tumor two types, SEC tumor and non-SEC tumor. SEC tumor is usually easy, even for beginner, but non-SEC tumor, mostly difficult. We should consider many things using the multiple electrode. The single electrode for smaller SEC tumor, otherwise multiple electrode. This is actually my recipe for SEC tumor. For smaller than 1.5 centimeter, I use single RFA Viva or sometimes microwave. But if the tumor size is 1.6 centimeter, from that time, I use the 2, 3, or even 4 electrode. That means the 2x2 ablation. I will explain later. For dangerous location, mostly I use the 2 electrode. One electrode close the dangerous organ, and the other is away. And then I use the bipolar first. No exit tumor, definitely I recommend multiple electrode, more than 2. 2 more than, okay? For example, very small tumor like this area, posterior margin, ablative margin is definitely insufficient, even using the strong microwave. This is our critical point, okay? That's why I don't recommend a single ablation for non-exit tumor. And also many non-exit tumor is a subcapsular location, so I recommend to use artificial ascites to prevent thermal injury. Inconspicuous tumor is also same. So multiple electrode is a smart strategy for this kind of inconspicuous tumor compared to conspicuous tumor. So don't struggle too much with a single electrode for such a inconspicuous tumor. What about the no touch? Doesn't matter? I think single or multiple, centrifugal or centripetal ablation more matters. Don't do strictly keep the non-touch strategy, because various clinical condition in real practice. No more overlapping ablation with a single electrode. Carefully select the case treated by single ablation first, and place the old electrode before starting the button, and decide when to stop with a careful monitoring during the ablation. If inevitable overlapping ablation is necessary, should wait for 10 minutes. People of Viva and Octopus decide the length of activity before the insertion of the electrode. Don't adjust activity during the ablation. It is inaccurate. Carefully check whether the electrode moves due to respiration. Again, in summary, for SEC, up to 1.5 centimeter, I can use the single micro RFA, Viva, and larger than 1.5 to 2.5 single microwave. And also we can use the multiple RFA. Larger than 2.5 centimeter microwave ablation, sometimes dangerous. A single ablation, RFA, smaller than 1.5 centimeter SEC tumor. Microwave, smaller than 2.5 centimeter SEC tumor. Single puncture, central puncture ablation, RFA, microwave. Both are SEC tumor, smaller than 2.5 centimeter. Otherwise, I recommend multiple RFA, 2 or 3 electrode. I'll stop here, and if you have any question, okay.
Professor, some question from the audience. One question is if you use RFA for just a primary tumor or also for liver metastasis, and if Octopus can be used for this application, and if there is any change in the technique.
Just a second. Can I see the chat box here? Okay. Giovanni, can I see the question on chat box?
I think so, but this one is one that we receive. So, do you use RFA also for metastasis or only for a primary?
Yes. The first question, definitely I use ablation for primary and as well as secondary metastatic tumor. Metastatic tumor is also a good indication for local ablation.
Okay. And do you have any change in the technique, or you use the same technique for primary and metastasis?
Yes, very good question. I don't have a particular difference, but depending on the tumor burden, usually the metastatic tumor is number is more than 3 or 4 even. So at that time, I can control the ablative margin. How can I say? For primary tumor, usually the liver function is not so good. So we need to be more careful to reduce the liver function. That's why I don't keep just the 1 millimeter ablative margin. So liver is not good. At that time, I should decrease the ablative margin. For metastasis, the other liver parenchyma is normal. So that's why I try to make the enough ablative margin, 10 millimeter ablative margin, as much as I can. So very complicated. I show the summary of table, but this is just a brief reference. In real clinical condition, the operator should modify the many details. Okay, basically, I can get more enough ablative margin in metastatic tumor based on normal liver.
Thank you. And another question, do you use the Octopus always separated or also in the cluster type, as there are also some other devices on the market that propose the cluster type of electrodes?
Yes, very good question. Initially, we had experience using the cool tip closed electrode, the three electrode together, 1.5 centimeter. But as you can see, the distance between the three electrode usually changes when we insert the skin and chest wall, abdominal wall, and liver. Sometimes the three needles are separated. We cannot control in the liver. And sometimes together, close together. That means the ablation zone is unpredictable. But octopus electrode, we can separate each electrode. So almost always I use the separable electrode. So depending on the tumor configuration and location, I insert electrode accurately, one by one. I don't use the cluster type electrode.
Perfect. Thank you. I think for now, this was the two more frequent questions. So we can continue the second part
Okay.
of our presentation. Sorry, Professor, one more question. So you mentioned multiple electrodes like octopus RFA ablation, but they are asking, what do you think about the multiple antenna microwave ablation? So
yes,
yeah,
very good.
Same safety.
Yes, very good question. Definitely, if we use the multiple microwave ablation together, two antenna, three antenna, we can definitely make the really bigger ablation zone, but we have to trade the complication. So that's why at the moment, if the expense is not a problem in some country, maybe you can use the two microwave antenna together for larger tumor. For example, more than 3.5 and 4 centimeter. But if you use the 3 and 4 microwave antenna together, like octopus, I think many of the liver can make the liver infarction like that, complication, abscess like that. So at the moment, technically, maybe we can do that, but in our clinical practice, I think at the moment, the maximum two microwave applicator would be maximum for this clinical scenario, especially for liver cirrhosis patient.
Thank you.
Shall we move? Okay, we can have more Q&A session at the end of this presentation. Okay, I will prepare the 4 cases. Maybe the first 2 cases, maybe you have already seen in other lectures anyway. The first case is a typical single ablation using either microwave or radiofrequency ablation. Small sac tumor, conspicuous, safe location with definite exit. This is a really easy case for even beginner. 1.2 centimeter sac tumor, clearly seen. Where the entrance of tumor is important. After then, take your time to insert along the real central axis of tumor. This is really important, but many operators neglect these basic things. Yellow ring is the tumor margin. Red ring means the ablative volume, our goal. Just 4 minutes later, we can make quite nice ablation zone like this. We have to close monitoring for accurate ablation. After 4 minutes, there is no bleeding, almost no wound compared to surgery. Most minimally invasive, isn't it, I think? Pre-ablation MRI, post-ablation CT, quite nice ablation zone. Moving on second case. Second case is a 3 tumor. One inconspicuous, the other 2 has no exit. That means I use multiple RFA. So-called non-sec tumor, 3 tumors. I used Octopus 3 electrode. Using the fusion imaging. First tumor is a non-sec tumor because of inconspicuous, about 2 centimeters. Second electrode is a lateral inferior margin of tumor. We have to check the distance between the electrode. And then third electrode, lateral superior margin of a tumor. I ablated for 10 minutes, monopolar 9 minutes, and 1 minute bipolar. From the posterior margin, ablation zone started, and then stepwise increase up to 100 watts until the low rough. Ablation margin is approaching the anterior margin, and then finally expanding the lateral margin. So-called centripetal ablation, like hemangioma-like ablation. Thread cauterization. There is no bleeding. Moving to the second tumor, 1.8 centimeters, a little bit smaller, but exit is very narrow. Just the posterior margin of the tumor, the hepatic hilum, including bile duct, very close. That means not safe, definitely non-sec tumor. So I used the 2 electrode. If you use the single microwave ablation, definitely the complication rate will be increased. And then ablation, no bleeding. And moving the third tumor, 1.2 centimeters small, but subcapsular, very sticky location, definitely non-sec tumor. That's why I use 2 electrodes rather than single electrode, because there is no exit, but only 2 minutes, using the 2 centimeter active tip. Monopolar 3 minutes, bipolar 1 minute. So really minimally invasive compared to even laparoscopy resection. Pre-ablation MRI and post-ablation CT, you can see quite successful ablation, second tumor, and third tumor. Moving the third case, .5 centimeter recurrent HCC in S6T, definitely non-sec tumor. because there is no exit beyond the posterior margin of tumor. So I used 3 electrodes. This is a planning ultrasound report. I used the 3 octopus electrode with artificial ascites for no exit tumor. Is technically feasible. So first electrode approach this way. Artificial site is here. Because it's a circumferential capsule, so I used the 3 electrode, not 4 electrode. The ablation zone, including the capsule. Pre-ablation and post-ablation, about 4.5 centimeter. The last case is a 3 centimeter recurrent HCC in segment 6. Quite big. Even microwave ablation cannot control with a single ablation. May need 2 overlapping ablation at least, I think. This is also planning ultrasound report. Because of tumor size is too big, so I decided 2x2 ablation using the 3 octopus electrode. Large sac tumor, definitely we need multiple electrode. I take this strategy, 2 electrode first, and 3rd electrode insert before the starting ablation. After first ablation, I move the 1 electrode this position. I call the 2x2 double ablation. This is quite a smart strategy using the octopus for large tumors. This strategy, first ablate the lower part and the upper part. If the tumor too big, even using the 3 electrode is not so easy, so I insert the 2 electrode first. Start and ablation the lower part, lower half of tumor with the 2 electrode 1 and electrode 2, like this. After then, I move the 1 electrode, the other part, and then ablate 1 more. The first ablation and second ablation. Using the electrode 3 plus electrode 1. So, first red, blue electrode, and then yellow, red electrode. I use 20 minutes for this particular tumor ablation. Pre and post, 5.5 centimeter. Circumferential oblate margin we can achieve using the octopus electrode smartly. In my talk, I got a frequent question like this. What are your key criteria for choosing between RFA and microwave in clinical practice? At the moment, as I mentioned before, single microwave ablation, sac tumor smaller than 2.5 centimeter. Single RFA, single Viva, sac tumor smaller than 1.5 centimeter. Otherwise, multiple. How do you determine the optimal number and placement of electrode in multiple ablation? As I mentioned, tumor size is important, and furthermore, sac is much more important. We should check when planning. What steps do you take to improve ablation zone visibility when ultrasound image quality is poor? As you all know, the fusion is essential, and artificial ascites or effusion, and finally, contrast lens ultrasound. Really good friend for successful ablation. Next question is how do you ensure ablative margin, especially near critical structures like bile duct or vessels? Very difficult, very frequent question. At the moment, I have no idea, but always remember safety should be first. Do not harm to achieve just the sufficient ablative margin. Moving the fifth question, in what situation do you use artificial cytosol diffusion? Mostly subphrenic or soft capsular tumor. S7 bare area, I use artificial diffusion, which is not effective by ascites. Technical tip, use angiosis rather than just needle, and use BP cuff for rapid infusion, and use a tilting table. What are your preferred strategies for managing heat sink effect in perivascular tumor? Long-standing question, but at the moment we don't have enough evidence. You can use the three: multiple RF electrode with moderate heating, microwave ablation, moderate heating, cryoablation with maximum cooling. I think this is acceptable to overcome heat sink and to prevent vascular injury. What are the most common technical errors you see among the beginners, and how can they be avoided? Based on my experience, accurate placement of electrode where he planned is really difficult. Decision when to finish is also very important. And finally, migration of the electrode during the ablation. First, precise planning in advance, very important, and take your time during ablation, don't hurry up. And finally, learn anything from your post-ablation CT. Okay, SCT, TYT, optimal, know enemy and know yourself. And finally, multidisciplinary approach is a really strong and smart strategy. Long time for 3 decades, which one is better frame we were living, but we have to move how to use it in a right way. This is a really forgotten tip, our successful ablation. The difference is not so much big. I love this video. Okay, so it is time to move deep ablation within our box. Every ablation is different from one case to the other case. There are so many spaces we can be deep ablation to enhance, maximize our technique. Conclusion, very simple. Device is very important, but techniques matter. We should maximize our technique. And today, keyword SEC is a really important, and also time can solve many problems in our practice. Take your time. So from now on, don't do this anymore. Please remember, conspicuous tumor with the exit in safe location. Thank you for your attention. If you have any question, please email me on the following address, and you can join my Facebook forum, and also you can enjoy the other talk, the YouTube rim ablation. And this is my new hospital after my retirement from this March. So I just doing the same things for the same patient. So if you have any time, please welcome to Changwon City so we can discuss more. Thank you very much.
Professor Rim, we have a couple of questions, frequent questions from the audience that you can see on the chat.
Yes,
I can read for you. So does multiple electrode ablation increase the complication rate as compared with the single electrode ablation? Is one of the questions.
Yes, I will answer the first question. Definitely, there is a possibility. If you use the strong weapon, the complication rate can be increased, but not because we have already a lot of experience of the complication. So even using the multiple electrode, we can think the potential of complication and minimize those complications. For example, if there is a very difficult to summarize, but if you use the 3 electrode with the same maximum watt, definitely complication increase. But considering every condition, you can modify you can make the optimal ablation zone. Definitely the ablation complication instance will be minimized. But definitely compare just a single electrode, the instance is a little bit high, but I guess there is no significant difference statistically.
Thank you. And then we have another multiple questions. One is regarding the octopus electrodes. Should all 3 electrodes be placed in a single intercostal space, or they can be inserted in a multiple intercostal space?
Yes, I will answer for the first question. Very important and very essential question for me. So at the moment, there is no consensus on this issue, even the Minho Lee and Jungmin Lee. Depending on the condition, as you can see, depending on the respiration status, the tumor location is continuously moving. So ideally, if you can insert equidistance in the same intercostal space, that means the tumor size is not so big, I think, less than 2 centimeters. But if the tumor size is larger than 3 centimeters like that, it is impossible to place the electrode ideally in single intercostal space. So simply saying, for larger tumor, I recommend 2 electrode, 1 space. The other 3rd electrode is the other space, upper or lower, depending. So for smaller tumor, in most cases, we can use the single intercostal space. For larger tumor, frequently we have to use at least 2 intercostal space, 2 and 1 electrode. Very good question. And then
the second question is, I believe that the key point of inserting the octopus is to make the electrode as parallel to the others as possible. So do you think that the CT may do a better job than ultrasound in doing that? And additionally, any tips to optimally place the octopus if ultrasound is the chosen guiding modality?
It also very very critical question, but at the moment there is no sound scientific evidence the CT is better than ultrasound like that. I think very complicated issues operators experience on ultrasound. But basically, if you use the CT plus ultrasound, I think it is chance to increase the accurate placement of electrode compared to ultrasound only. But uh, simple tip is just take our time. Okay, I mean when do you do planning ultrasound? At that time, you initially decided to whether I will insert one electrode, second, third, like that. And at the day of procedure time, the conditions also already changed. Anyway, before starting the insertion of the electrode, you should take time, even 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and exactly plan each electrode location. After that, when you insert electrode, also we should take time, not just insert the anterolateral, medial, superior, like not like that. Exactly point to point side. You had a plan. You have to have a plan, and then approach 1 millimeter by. After then, uh, sometimes you have to change the second electrode placement compared to your planning, and then change it. That means if you invest the time more, the accuracy is definitely increase. But if you hurry the time, the ideal arrangement is even for expert is not so easy. So just solution is a time, very simple. We all of us already has a time, but we are so busy, so we want to finish quickly using the microwave and center. But if you give more time, the accuracy of alignment is getting increased. Okay, and then how do you compare?
Then we have time for last question, one more question that we received. So how is a general question, how do you compare RFA and microwave versus non-thermal ablation like IRE?
Yes, very, very good question. Also, very long-standing question. When ILE was introduced, they have the ambition. ILE can replace many of the indication of thermal ablation, but as you can see, there is no enough scientific data to prove the real benefit on the outcome and the safety. That means it is very hard to perform the comparative studies with the homogeneous group. That's why I would say nobody knows, but my impression is IL is a really good ideal energy source. I agree, but RFA and microwave, we already also a lot of knowledge regarding the safety. So I think the proportion of ILE maybe still minor, less than 5% of patient. At the moment, that is my answer.
Okay, thank you, Professor Rim. So we close here our webinar. On behalf of StarMed, we'd like to extend our sincere appreciation to each of you for your time, attention, and engagement through this session. A special thanks, obviously, to Professor Rim for sharing his invaluable expertise and insights. It's been a privilege to learn such a distinguished leader in RFA. We hope today's webinar has provided you with the meaningful knowledge and inspiration to carry forward in your clinical practice. If you have further questions or would like to connect with us, please do not hesitate to reach out. So we look forward to see you at the future event, and until then, stay well, and thank you again for your participation, and a special thank to Professor Lim. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you very much.